Remember your defense. Points come. Concentrate.
Oh my God. They found me. I don't know how, but they found me.
Run for it, Marty!
Who? Who do you think?
Can I tell you a secret?
Sure, man.
I see dead people.
Many people who are unfamiliar with this Mandela Effect, when asked if they remember the pattern on the headband of the Karate Kid in the 1984 movie, they describe a red rising sun on white background that is a half circle with rays coming from it. That's not how it appears today, where all references show it to be a black circle with black lines flowing out from it due to it being zoomed in the center part from a stylized lotus. The most famous scene in the movie was the crane kick, where Daniel delivered his winning blow to Johnny while wearing his iconic band. What was the pattern on it? In the bright magical universe Wizard of Oz takes place in, the writers of the movie decided it would be a good idea to give the living scarecrow, who doesn't have an actual brain, a pistol. However, despite the concept of a scarecrow having access to firearm being one that's pretty notable for how crazy it is, some people don't remember him having it. It's really only in like one scene in the movie, so it's possible that not a lot of people remember that one specific scene, thereby creating this Mandela Effect theory. But also, you never know, what do you guys remember? Do you remember the scarecrow in Wizard of Oz having a firearm? This is all false. I see white people is the original phrase that has been changed and edited to appease today's current audiences. If you have an original DVD or Google hard enough, you will see the original scene. I See White People is a Mandela Effect that takes place in the 2000 horror comedy Scary Movie. In one scene, Shorty states, "I see dead people" after getting high. However, many people remember him saying "I see white people" instead, which would be a racial joke. The effect is said to have caused upset as it has been destroyed the humor of this scene. How ironic is that a movie about time travel would become the mugging victim of an alternate reality or a paradox prank. I had to scratch my head at some point of these reported Mandela effects coming down the pipeline, but for me the terrorist ban in the Back to the Future is an absolute confirmed altercation in the Matrix. This is the Libyan terrorist ban currently shown arriving at the Twin Pines Mall. It's a Volkswagen bus, but if you recall the Libyan terrorist scene as it was originally filmed, packaged and screened in the theaters, rendered on VHS, rewound, viewed and then rewound again, not forgetting its continuously successful run on cable television. Then this is the terrorist van you might recall. I sure do. It's a 1984 Toyota van. What amazes me about the van's absence isn't Hollywood's ability to digitally alter landmarks or vehicles in new prints of old films. It's the ability to go back into the pages of printed history and altogether rewrite the original source as if the 1984 Toyota van never existed at all, and which time and time again the Mandela Effect is proving to do so. I also want to point out that I find it interesting that the future date of October 21st, 2015 that they went into the movie is right around the time when mass number of people started waking up to the Mandela Effect. The Statue of Liberty is one of the most, if not the most iconic monument in the United States. It was at first a gift from France to the US and resides on Ellis Island. But turns out even though people remember otherwise, the Statue of Liberty is actually on Liberty Island. Also, according to other people on YouTube and Twitter, it seems like we, or at least they, are going back and forth from one reality where it's on Liberty Island and a different one where it's on Ellis Island. Because some people claim only a couple weeks before they wrote said comments that the Statue of Liberty was on Ellis Island, but for others, it hasn't been on Ellis Island in quite some time. It appears like this Mandela Effect might be one of those things that changes and gets switched around in different orders of events depending on each individual person. I hope that makes sense. This whole thing is just a really strange occurrence. Do you remember the name of the iconic prehistoric family cartoon series being The Flintstones or the B Flintstones? Well, if you choose B, then you haven't been affected by this Mandela Effect. If you choose A, welcome to your new reality. The supposed correct answer is B, The Flintstones. Several ops on Reddit even had the same effect on what they remember the show was originally titled, while some others say it always has been Flintstones with a T and it has never been changed. Many remember it as Run You Fools and are surprised to learn that they might be experiencing a Mandela Effect when they learn today it's Fly You Fools. This could be a mishearing, some are even claiming to hear flee. The plot does involve the giant eagles carrying them away and Gandalf thinks he is about to die, so it might be a reference to that as he does the last thing he can to help them. There is a suspicion of there being different versions released where this dialogue has actually been edited, for example on a director's cut. If this were the case, then however, that version would surely have been surfaced by now. Since this is one of the better known Mandela Effects, with such classic stories as The Lord of the Rings, fans read and study them much more intensively than the regular passive reader / film goer. It is those who are claiming it has changed which makes this all the more mysterious. I don't know why people remember something that never was. This is called the Mandela Effect, and although they have seen photos with 6 people in the car, they swear up and down that they only saw 4 the day that it happened. The one explanation I can give is that the government Connolly and his wife were sitting on jump seats and were lower down than the other 4 people in the car. There were always 6 people starting from the front seat. Will Greer, productive service agent, on loan to the Secret Service driver. The ladies were seated behind Greer in the order given on the driver's side of the limousine. The gentlemen were seated behind Killerman, the order given on the passenger side of the limousine. The other theory would be 2 of them, probably the ones dressed as Secret Service agents, are time travelers. They wanted to get as close to the action as possible and fixed it so that all but most the perceptive would think that they had always been there. At least that's one explanation. The very word swastika strikes revulsion in most people who instantly connect it with the Nazis. This is unfortunate because they appropriate it as a symbol very recently in its long history. It can be found in Hinduism, the Roman Empire, Buddhism, and many other religions and cultures. The image of the swastika associated with the Nazis was personally designed by Adolf Hitler. In his 1925 he wrote, I myself, meanwhile, after innumerable attempts, had laid down a final form, a flag with a red background and a white disc and a black swastika in the middle. If you ask anyone today not familiar with this mass memory discrepancy effect to draw one, chances are they do it with the uppermost top section rising from left to right. However, some are claiming that this is the wrong way around and results in a mirror image of the one they remember. Some evidence of the flipped one does exist. Are these mistakes too? Einstein was once asked what it was like to be the smartest man alive, to which he replied, "I don't know, ask Tesla." Some have a false memory of his name being spelled Nikolai, whereas all references to a show Nikola, best known for his design of the AC electricity supply system. Tesla became largely forgotten after his death in 1943. However, from the 60s onwards, science had advanced sufficiently to enable his true genius to be much better understood, and the realization of how far ahead of his time he actually was. The alternative memory some have of his first name probably comes from the popular misconception that he was Russian, where the name would be spelled that way. In fact, Tesla was Serbian American. All the Bond actors apart from Daniel Craig used the line "My name's Bond, James Bond" or just Bond, James Bond when introducing themselves. This comes as a surprise to many people who are not familiar with this, because the phrase "the name's Bond, James Bond" is the first thing they usually blurt out when they remember it to be. The reason for this false memory isn't very clear. Perhaps using the "rather than my" is a less personal way of saying it, which would fit in better with his spy roles. In any case, those experiencing this false memory are usually shaken and stirred. Although as we grew up and became more mature, we learned that in real life that the North Pole isn't how it appears to be in Christmas movies, and Santa Claus doesn't have a toy factory in the North Pole, nor is he real. We all pretty much know that the North Pole at the very least is in of itself real, but in what ways? This is where the Mandela Effect strikes, and believe me, it's really shocking this time and it absolutely affected me. Is the North Pole made up of snowy landmass, or is it just nothing but an ocean? Well, if you were like me, you'd say that the North Pole is an actual place with snowy landmass. However, as you can see on Google Maps, mini globes and 2D printed maps, the North Pole, as most of the humanity knows it, it never even existed, as it's now nothing but the Arctic Ocean. See for yourself. What do you guys remember about this? This is not the only clip or photo like this. I have seen others used in Mandela videos and websites showing this landmass in the same spot. So weird, exactly further proof, if you will, that what we are seeing here is an island, not a label. It is a Mandela effect after all, one of the more mysterious ones, I should think. Interestingly enough, the very same region of the Indian Ocean is where a Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 went missing in 2014. Maybe it's entirely possible there was a landmass there before, but now there's nothing there, and the global image, maybe it was actually the landmass, but now it is the manufacturer's label instead.